Hello, my name is Nathan Lachelle. I'm here with the presentation of the Agents of Socialization for my sociology class. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me, and if you will, we will just hop right in. First question I have here is, how did these agents of socialization shape your understanding of the world? So first, we'll start with my family. Um, so my parents were divorced at a pretty young age, and I was mostly raised by my grandparents. So they kind of helped me understand the world and what it is in it. My grandparents, they worked really hard growing up, and that's basically where I kind of got some of my work ethic from. I watched them work hard and come home, and they took care of what they had. We didn't have a whole lot, but what we did have is, we took care of it, and there was a lot of love in between my grandparents and me, and I also got a good image of what somewhat of a broken family can look like too, between my father and mother never really getting along very much. So that I kind of had an understanding of the world through them. My peer groups, I got in trouble quite a bit as a kid, and the friends that I was hanging around, they got in a lot of trouble. So as far as me perceiving myself as they perceived me, they perceived me as, one of the guys that were getting in trouble with them. So, of course, I internalized that to myself and like, okay, well, if they're getting in trouble, then I need to get in trouble too, because that's what's cool. My school is where I understood things on the outside level. That's where I learned to interact with other kids and just how to go to school, and learning was important. Um, my workplace now, I work in a treatment center, so I get to see a good look of what's going on out on the outside world as far as substance abuse and things of that nature. It's a vicious cycle. A lot of these guys get in, and I see them come in and out, in and out, and it shows me that what's going on out there in the world. I didn't have much religion as far as that. I didn't grow up in a very religious home. So really what my understanding of religion I got is just from maybe TV or, like mass media and things like that. My understanding of religion came from other outside sources. Um, Government, I grew up in, I guess, the Bush era. So I kind of remember as a kid, basically, 9/11 and things like that. And I got to see the world the country come together and that was interesting to see. My understanding through the world of mass media, I come from the age of social media, and there's a lot of social media. So, basically, I've kind of learned so much from the outside world from just what I see on Facebook and things like that. And we can't always trust what's on there. So, some of the information given is not correct. Or on to the next question. How did these agents of socialization shape your beliefs and values? Almost all the values and beliefs I have is more than likely through my family and my grandparents. My grandpa kind of was a man that would get up every day, go to work, and take care of his family. So I kind of learned through him that that's something I do as a man. I get up, I go to work. And between them, between my grandparents, I really got to see, what how to treat people, and that's a good value and belief that I internalized as a kid because I mean they treated people really good. They were very liked amongst the community. So I really got to see how to treat people, and my grandpa, well, he was a man that went to work, but he was also a man that wasn't afraid to show his emotions. So I basically got that value and that belief of, it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to show my feelings. So that was really good. Through my peer groups, because they weren't the best peer groups, I kind of learned of a value that the outside world was kind of after us. Like everyone wanted us to fail, and through that, I became very resentful to the outside world. Um, that's how my peer groups affected me. Through my school, um, they instilled a value in me that how important good grades can do, and be. My father always wanted me to go to school. I come from a long line of men in my family who do a lot of hard labor. So he instilled kind of a value and a belief in me that you go to school, you get good grades, and you go to college, and you won't have to work hard like we have. You don't have to work like your grandfather and me. And so school kind of instilled that into me as well. That hey, if you want a good life, and if you want a different life, then you go to school, you do well, and then you make good grades. I guess the government instilled a certain belief and value to me that hey, pay taxes. Yeah, that's that's what, and the government. I can remember a lot of things in school that the government instilled too. Like how to treat people, and you know, uh, basically, just because somebody's different as far as what skin color they have, or maybe they're not as smart as you. It seems like school really instilled that we don't pick on people, we don't treat people differently just because they look different or act different. Now we're to the next question. What norms did you internalize from these agents? And I'll kind of be giving a description of what their norms are and how, of course, I got that from them. So an expectation with my family kind of growing up was that, we treat people right. Also, like we don't cuss in the home, and we don't tear things up. We don't dirty things up. So that was a norm as far as my family. If you dirty something up, you pick it up and then you clean it up. If you tear something up in the house, you're honest about it. So there was a lot of honesty as far as a norm in the household that I grew up. A lot of honesty. A norm that was kind of instilled in me in the workplace was something simple. Like as a workplace, most of them want you to show up on time. Be there, work hard, and a specific norm is like if you're going to call out, right? And I worked in a lot of restaurants before I worked the job I have now. Like if you're going to call out, you need to call your supervisor, and you need to let them know, and let them know why. And that was a norm too that I kind of learned through the workplace. Like you show up on time, and you work till your end of shift, and then you leave. Next question we have is, how did your agents of socialization expand or limit your social network? So, as far as peer groups go, the friend group that I was in, it kind of limited my social network, right? Because we were a group of friends that got in trouble a lot, and a lot of other kids didn't want to socialize with us. So it very limited my social network to a very small group, and that was the group of kids that kind of went against the grain, got in trouble a lot, would do things that a lot of other kids weren't doing. Through my family, um, my agent of socialization through my family. Back to the peer groups. Everybody in school saw me as a kid that wasn't very smart, wasn't very, got into a lot of trouble even before I really did. So, I did internalize that very hard, and was like, okay, well, if they think I'm not that smart, I guess I'm not smart, and so I really didn't try very hard at school because of that. Um, because I was raised by my grandparents, I feel like they kind of felt bad for me because my mom and dad weren't getting along, and I wasn't living with them, so they kind of let me just sit in the room and play video games. So, because of that, I didn't go out and socialize as much as I probably should have. And that did affect me in a very certain way. Now we are to our last question. How did these agents of socialization influence what activities you pursued and the statuses that you have? So first, I want to start when I was younger. Um, Kind of like I said before, my grandparent, I was kind of sheltered through my grandparents and things like that. So, so because of that, my my grandparents kind of shelter me and stuff. My grandma asked me one day if I wanted to play sports because I think she wanted to kind of push me into a different socialization and just kind of get me out of my comfort zone and get me out of my head. So I did. I started playing sports very young, at about 5 years old, and I played football and wrestled, and I did that for a long time, all the way up into high school. So because of kind of her and my grandpa kind of backed it up too, because of that, I kind of got into the sports field. I probably never would have went to school in college like I am now if it wasn't for somebody in my peer group. Through my job, working in the addiction field, I had met a person, a guy, and he happens to be a professor there at Campbellsville University, and he kind of pushed me into this field. I was thinking about maybe being a CADC, working as a drug and alcohol counselor, but I wasn't too sure. And he kind of pushed me into the social work field because it's a lot more broad, and there's a lot of different options than just a drug and alcohol counselor situation. So he specifically as far as peer groups had a huge influence on that whole situation and me going into school and even and not just going to school, but the career choice that I plan on doing later in life, working into social work. So my peers had a lot to do with it. My workplace had a big part of it too. If I wouldn't have started working in this field in addiction, I never would have chose to go into the social work field and work with alcoholics and addicts and things of that nature. My hobbies, I'm a big reader. I really like reading, and it's pretty funny. My grandma used to always read me books when I was really young. Right before we went to bed. That was always a thing. She'd sit on my bed and read me a book. So she had a big effect on me as far as into adult life. I still love reading before bed. It's something that just relaxes me, makes me feel at home. So of course her doing that as a child with me had probably everything to do with that being a big hobby. Okay, so now we're here at the end of the slideshow. I'm just going to kind of recap on everything. You know, um, Socialization, I think, has everything to do with, who we become, what we end up doing in life. There's the big argument of nature versus nurture. Does genetics have something to do more than, your upbringing? And it's a tough thing. It's a real tough thing to say which one has an effect more. Me personally, I think really socialization has a little bit more to do with it. My family probably had more to do with anything than probably peer groups too. But a family, I think, the way your upbringing and the socialization with your family, they teach you all the beliefs, all the values. The world around you has everything to do with basically who you become. Um, I think this was a really cool assignment, and I'm happy to be here. And I thank everyone for taking the time out to take a look at all this. And I hope everyone was pleased. Thank you, and have a great day.